Hello and welcome to my first Hoop Flow webinar. I'm very excited to be here with you today, and I hope you are too. I'm Bunny B Star, and I am the founding owner and creative director of Hoop Empire. I'm also known by my stage name, which is Bunny Hoop Star, and my friends call me B. So I've been hooping for 28 years. So if you would like to know more about my hoop journey, I've written my personal hoop story, which I will share with you in a follow-up email after the webinar. And I'll also be sharing with you a number of downloads from the online courses in the Hoop Flow School of Movement, which is hosted by Hoop Empire. And I'll be sharing with you some playlists, which I hoop to, and a couple of links to various things that we'll discover, including some lovely offers for you. So, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, I've got a lot to cover. So, we're going to start by just having a look at what we will cover in today's webinar. So today we're going to look at how to find your hoop flow and what hoop flow is. I'll also be sharing with you my top 3 hoop tricks. As I mentioned, I'll be sharing with you links, playlists, some free lesson downloads from my online courses. I've also got an announcement today about my new online program. And to thank you for joining me today, I'll be sharing with you some insider offers. And at the end of the webinar, I will be opening the space for you to ask any questions you may have. So if you think of questions along the way, feel free to note them down, or you can also pop them into the chat, and we'll take a look at them at the end of the webinar. Great, so let's get started. Finding your hoop flow. So what is hoop flow? It's an interesting topic because everyone starts hooping and gets really excited by the tricks, and very quickly there's a craving for what we call flow or hoop flow. And as it sounds, hoop flow is about being fluid and smooth in your movements. It's about connecting your moves and connecting your tricks so that you're in a form of hoop dance. So I'm going to share a video in a moment, but before I do, I just want to highlight my 3 top tips on how to find your hoop flow. So, like anything, when you're learning it, you can get very heady and in your head, in your mind. So turning the mind down and tuning into your body and breathing is my number 1 tip. It's really important to breathe when you're hooping in any aspect of life, but especially with hooping, because you're hooping around your waist, and if you're like holding it tight, you're exhausting yourself and you're restricting the blood flow and the oxygen throughout your entire body, and you're stressing yourself out, and you'll find you'll get really tired quickly. So if you find you're getting tired, just check in with your breath. Secondly, counting. So counting the music, counting the beats in the music, counting the pushes of your hooping, connecting the music and the pushes of your hoop, and eventually counting, if you're putting together a little performance, counting the moves that you're doing or the spins that you're doing. And then, you have the timing to bring in the next move or coordinate with someone else. And thirdly, really feeling into the music. It's so important to connect the body with music in any form of dance. And that timing is essential that we find in the count. But as we start to ease the movement from the mind into the body, the feeling starts to take over, and that's really important. So I'm going to share with you a clip right now from the Hoop Body workout, and this is my foundational hoop course. And I want you to notice a few aspects of my movement. So you'll notice I'm very centered and stable. I'm lifted in my body, and I'm able to really extend through the arms, and I'm breathing into my belly. If I can have a little laugh or, chat with someone or sing along to the music, then that's really my indication that I'm breathing, I'm enjoying it, I'm relaxed, and I can start to focus on other aspects of um, hooping, such as hoop dance. So, um, whoop, closing your eyes is a really great way to find that feeling in your hooping. So, when you close your eyes, it really enhances your awareness of the contact of the hoop with your body. And it also, so you've already heightened that awareness, and you don't have to think about it. Am I connecting? Am I doing the right thing? So you can start to feel that. And it starts to program into what we often call muscle memory. So it becomes automatic. And then, closing your eyes and counting as well, like that is going to increase the focus even more. And it's going to, the counting is going to show you if you are at that early stage of hooping. And that's, when you start hooping on the waist, you're counting the connection of the hoop at your belly button. When you're hooping on your knees, you're connecting the connection of the hoop on the front of your knees. When you're learning to hoop on the chest, you're counting the connections of the hoop with your chest. When you're hooping in the hands, you're counting the connection in your hands. So that I just find that closing your eyes is a really effective way of enhancing all of that awareness and relaxing and allowing you to express yourself a little more. And, as we talked about, music is so essential. So I really recommend that in your hoop practice that you have a playlist of your favorite tunes, and then you start to, have a memory of the movements in the music. So you know what's coming up and you know where you might want to do something different. All right, I love having a little jump in my hoop and rocking out, as you can see, and turning around. And we'll be talking about turning and lifting a lot today. So let's just pause that one there. All right, so moving into, let's get this one, my top 3 hoop tricks. Number 1, the shimmy. That's chest hooping. Number 2, the lasso. And number 3, the isolation. So the shimmy is such a great move. Let's just go back here. It's such a heart opener. When you're hooping on the chest, you actually have to really open your chest. And as we'll talk about a little bit further on, like you really need to complement the shape of the hoop or match it with the shape that you're making in your body. So if you think about the hoop coming in contact to your chest, you have to really open the chest and then rounding the back and nudging out side to side. So I'm going to go into a video, and this is the starting point for getting chest hooping happening, and that is to find your gaps. So if you're hooping on the waist and you've made that connection and you've been counting and you've closed your eyes, you start to really know the timing of the hoop contacting your body. So directly after that point of the hoop contacting your navel is an opportunity to drop your hands inside the hoop. And so you'll start on one side. The hoop rolls over the belly, hand goes inside, push gap, push gap. And you'll notice in this video, I'm hooping to the left. So I'm hooping anti-clockwise. That left side is going to be a bit bigger, whereas the right side will be a little smaller. So you'll notice in this video that my right hand is coming a little bit further forward to the center of my body, and the left hand is at the side of my body. And here I am just rocking it out because I've been finding my gaps for a good 15 years, not the full 28. A little fun fact about this move, this was the only hoop dance move back in the noughties in Californian, in the birth of Californian hoop dance, by the gorgeous and legendary Hoopalicious, who that was her signature hoop move. She'd like get those hoop gaps going on. And I'm about to go into the float here, so that's another thing. So I'll just pause that, and I'm going to move us into the next video, which is actually bringing the hoop up to the chest in the shimmy. So yeah, finding the gaps, it's the number one starting point for getting the hoop up to the chest. Now, that is if your hands are going inside the hoop, which is how I teach hooping on the chest rather than hands outside of the hoop or hands up. That's a different technique, and we call that coiling. So you'll see how my hands went in. I shrugged my shoulders. Now, you may not have seen that first up, so I'll be doing this a couple of times in the video as I talk you through it. But basically, my hands went inside the hoop, and my hands stayed down to the side of my body, and my shoulders are going to shrug up, 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 alternate. See, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm keeping my arms really close to my body. They're not flapping out. One thing that people often do with this move is flap out in a bit of a penguin move. And you want to keep it not rigid, nice and relaxed, but you do want to, keep it quite contained with all of the moves. And here I am showing you the shaping that I talked about earlier. So I'm pushing my chest out at the front, and I'm rounding my back, and then I'm nudging out to the side to complement the shape of the hoop. And then absolutely essential in learning a lot of the moves and getting your hoop flow on is turning your body. So you're going to feel the hoop on your waist, and you're just going to relax and like get those arms moving and have a little bit of a dance. And when you're ready for the shimmy, your arms go inside the hoop. Oh, I'm back doing the Macarena, but I'm just going to rewind that for a moment. So we've got opening the chest, rounding the back, and side to side, and rounded back, open chest, nudging side to side. And see how I started the hoop on my chest. So that's totally okay and a great way to start to feel the hoop on the chest. And getting it up is kind of a separate part of the training. And we'll go back again. I just want you to see that one more time of bringing it up. Turning the body. So the arms go in, we've got the gaps, and we're turning the body. Now, turning the body is adding the momentum to the hoop. You're basically working with the hoop if you're turning your body, particularly in a shimmy. So I strongly recommend that you turn with your chest hooping or your shimmies. It'll make it so much easier. Also, a big hoop, using a lot of times people come in to the hoop with a small hoop. So a big hoop, again, is going to give you more time and space. All right. That's the shimmy or chest hooping. If you've got any questions or notes on that, just make a note of them and I'll address them at the end. Okay, the lasso. I mean, it's got to be the most classic hoop move in circus hooping. It's the first move that anyone ever learns in a circus hoop class after they've learned waist hooping and hand hooping. So we go to the lasso. In hoop dance style, it would probably be more the shimmy or chest hooping. And it's so nice to watch those two styles come together and not borrow from each other at all. It's a sharing and it's a growing of the practice of hooping. And there are many different styles. So I want to talk a little bit about the lasso. But before I do, I want to share with you a confession here, and that is this move took me so long to learn that I think it's actually what turned me into a hoop teacher, because I had to study it in such minute detail that I became so super aware of how it works. Um, and again, I'm going to say my number one tip is, you'll know it, and all of my students, will hear me say this over and over again, and that is turn your body. So let's go into a video. This is from the Hoop Magic course that I recorded earlier this year in Sydney. And okay, so here we are, and I'm in the first hand lift. So I've got cross body lift, and there I am turning my body. And you'll find with lassos, like if you don't turn your body with the lift, your arm will get really tangled. You'll find yourself kind of stuck in the movement pathway of the hoop. And as we know, the hoop's often spinning quite fast. So maybe you'll see it here, that where you get caught, or maybe not. But also to know that you can lift the hoop in both hands. So here I am with the second hand lift. That was the first hand cross body lift. This is a second hand side body lift. And it's pretty much where people end up going with their lasso lifts. And there's the stuckness in the, notice how I kind of, my arm got a bit stuck, and I was also showing you in slow-mo. But turning your body as soon as you get that hoop in your hand is going to be your greatest friend and helper in getting a successful lasso up. Lasso down, also turning your body can really help. And the turning with these kind of moves where you're hooping in your hand, or even with the shimmy, is like essentially just giving you that extra time and space to activate the move. Side body lift. And lassos can be really tricky to learn, because it's like in snowboarding or skateboarding, where you have a natural or a goofy style. If you're right-handed, generally most people spin on their body to the left, and if you're left-handed, people spin on their body to the right, but not always. That's like the natural direction. And in circus hooping, you'd be really trained to spin in your correct direction. But with the birth of hoop dance, we've created so many variations to the move, and they've actually been the what do they call it? Necessity is the mother of invention. They've created new moves, and so it's not in this video, but in my lasso sequence, I cover lifting the lasso up in both hands and both directions, and for both directions, and then adding an extra move to that, which is called the elevator, which I love, which is where you take the hoop down and up without it touching your body. But I won't cover that today. All right, lasso. Yeah, lasso can get very heady because of that. So if you're a right-hander who spins to the left, or a left-hander who spins to the right, you're going to be upskilled very quickly in how to in how to make a variation or how to adapt um, to the direction that you spin your hoop and to the dominant hand. So hand hooping, on body hooping, we call waist hooping or chest hooping or anything on the body. It's on body hooping. Any hoop moves in the hands, off body hooping. And so we're going to go to off body hooping now, which is the isolation. And I mean, what's not to love about an isolation? It's everybody's favorite trick. If you're ever going to do a performance, like opening with an isolation, you've got your audience straight up. It's a really fun move. So I'm just going to pop on a little video of my isolation lesson in the Hoop Magic class. Now, again, I'm going to send you these lessons as downloads in the follow-up email. And if you are listening to this webinar on a recording, please just contact me and I'm more than happy to share them with you. And so the isolation is very different to a spin. It's where you're creating a magical illusion of the hoop hovering in the air. And you'll notice I'm tracing my hand around in a circle, and I'm tracing the shape of the hoop. And so as I take my arm around, I get to a 3/4 point. I can't take my hand any further. And so I release the fingers, flip the hand, and keep the rotation going. And I can use all kinds of guides, like I can hold the hoop on the outside with my other hand to keep the hoop rotating in a circle, or I can do a two-handed isolation. And the isolations are really fun because they, again, lots of variations. Definitely this move has come from hoop dance world and being taken on by circus hooping because it's such a rockin' move. And so there's slides and there's turns, and you can slide the hoop on a horizontal or a diagonal. And it's just really fun. And so a couple of my tips on getting the flow into your isolation is to relax, to breathe, to keep your arms straight, and to keep the hoop close to your body, and really make sure you're not, this is the magic finger that I'm showing you. So when you get to that 3/4 point, you're splaying your fingers, and that really helps to control the hand from flying away and trying to catch the hoop, and just continuing that movement. So yes, staying relaxed, keeping the flow, making sure that you are not scrunching up into your shoulders. If you do that, you're going to get a very sore shoulder, very sore neck. And there's those shoulders. Yeah. And we naturally do it when we learn anything new. I think we have a freeze kind of response, and we stop breathing and we lock up. So here's the slides that I was talking about and the turn. Yeah, we love the isolation. Woo. Okay.
We're going to do
Okay. So moving along, I just want to review what I've covered. If I can get this to go, yep. So hoop flow review, how to access your hoop flow. Close your eyes and listen to the music. Feel your body connecting with the hoop and music. Turn your body often, especially when activating tricks, and count your spins and the beats in the music. Ultimately, relax and let it flow. Hoop flow is like letting it go. Yeah, just really enjoying it. All right, it's time for my big announcement of the day, and that is I am about to launch my new program called the Hoop Flow Mentorship, which is a 4-week intensive one-to-one training program, which I am beginning on the 7th of July, which incidentally is my mother's birthday. So 7722. Hoop Flow Mentorship is for anyone. If you want to develop your hoop skills, if you want to commit to a home practice find your hoop flow, create a performance, make hula hoops, teach hula hooping, start up a hoop biz, or diversify your hoop biz. That says diversity, but it's meant to say diversify. So yeah, I created this course for people who really just want to develop their skills in an area of hooping. So obviously it's not all of that in 4 weeks. That's a lot to cover in 4 weeks. But I created this course for people to accelerate their hoop journey. And that could be purely, your hoop practice at home. It could be, like you want to take it out into the community. You could be in a teaching way. You could be ready to get up on stage and rock it out. You could be ready to make some money from hooping. You could already have a hoop business and you just, you want something extra with it. So after 15 years of being in hoop biz, I'm hoping that I'm able to support you through that. You get 4 one-hour private lessons, either online or live here in Sydney, and they're designed individually for you to tailor your hoop practice to your hoop life goals. There'll be weekly check-ins for instruction, guidance, and feedback. I will create an individualized study and practice guide for you, give you a personalized assignment. I'm going to be right there by your side to support you and coach you to realize your hoop goal. And there's a bunch of resources to make your hoop dream happen. What are those resources? Training routines and drills. We love them. Choreographed routines and costume tips. Detailed lesson plans and equipment guides. Got them all. Step-by-step hoop making instructions. I'll be inviting you into my hoop factory if you wish to. A comprehensive business manual that I've been putting together over the last 15 years. And anyone who is enrolled in this course gets a lifetime discount on all Hoop Empire products. Okay, how much is it? $3.99 after the 30th of June. And the insider offers today 50% off all Hoop Flow courses, including the mentorship. So that brings it down to $1.99. You'll also read in my personal hoop story that I have been studying astrology for as long as I've been hooping. So I'm offering a complimentary astrology report to anyone who would like it, but it will be the first 5 people to enroll in the course. And yeah, all Hoop Flow School of Movement courses are available to you at 50% off until the 30th of June. And yeah, that includes the hoop body workout, which is my foundational hoop course for people who are just learning to hoop on the body. And then the hoop magic course, which is off body tricks. It covers hooping on the chest, the shimmy, the lassos and all the variations, and the isolation and all the variations. And hoop dance. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, today is your lucky day, and up until the 30th of June, 50% off as my introductory offer to you. So thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate you taking the time to drop in, and I hope you've enjoyed this webinar as much as I have. As I said, it is my first, so I hope I did okay. I will be sending you a follow-up email with all the information. I will send you this slide deck so that you can look back over what we've covered, and for anyone who wasn't able to make it live today. And as I mentioned to those people, please contact me. I'm happy to share with you all the complimentary content. And it's time for any questions you might have. So I'm going to jump back into the meeting and see if I've got any chats. And I'm also going to unmute anyone who I'm going to unmute you all, actually. Nick is asking, any tips on approaching these tricks if I'm experiencing injury or body pain? Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Really great question. Yeah, like as a professional hula hooper, I myself have had many injuries. So having a really good warm up is so important, and having a exercise routine home based is my main recommendation. That is approved by a physiotherapist. It's what gets me through. So, like being really gentle is important, not overdoing it and drilling really hard just because you want to get a trick. Just like be prepared to walk away from a move and be really aware of how the different hoop moves can affect your body. Hooping can be very intense on the body, especially if you're hooping like up around the upper body, or I mean, everyone has a different body and has different issues in their body. So it's about being mindful and being self-aware and checking in with your health professionals. And my greatest recommendation is that you have a physiotherapy approved home practice, regular home practice, that you use as your warm-up before you're hooping and even as a cool down. Thanks, Nick. So Ruth, if you want to unmute yourself, you can, and we can address any questions you might have. I don't think I can unmute you here. We got you. I'm going to stop the presentation.